Alright, so they just did this with my camera app, okay? So I was able to get the video back, okay? So essentially what happened is they cut they like, basically they hacked it to turn off. And then it didn't it didn't seemingly go into the pictures file or whatever. And so essentially then it was just like non-existent and I couldn't find it anywhere. And so then what I know about this stuff is that the right when they turned, basically they stopped the recording and they time out the camera app, and that when they did that, essentially what that does is it holds the video, it's recorded in virtualization. And so essentially my theory is that if it gets, when you do the hard reset stuff, if it gets to this screen, then it probably wouldn't come back. But who knows? I let it, I hold it down, and you turn it on, you do the power button and the button. And you hold it down, and then it'll power down. And then you'll see an apple, and you just keep holding it down. And then it'll power down again. And then you let go, and then you just turn it on. And then when I did that, I went back to the camera, and then the video was there. And so essentially, this is basically where they want to be able to prevent people from making videos about this stuff so bad that they're willing to literally utilize some very expensive, it would have been an expensive hack. It would have. And that, I guess, I call it the pedo snap off stuff. And so right now I have little whiny little pedophiles. They're doing their stupid little tech psycho stuff at me. Okay? And so since they just do that stuff for fun, then that's pretty much where, they may not realize, but that stuff is what tech psychos do. The pedo snap off shit. It's meant to build frustration and shit like that. So that's stuff that they do to women. Okay? So, and probably scientists out of Hamburg and stuff like that. And so this is kind of what it is. So they probably do it to gay dudes and shit, and probably lesbians, and probably do it to military guys and shit. Probably pisses them off. They don't have any. They'll get pissed. They get pissed, right? They get real pissed, and these people like to sit around and torment people about this stuff. Because in ways, a lot of them have speakers that are being tortured in. And that's why they want everybody to understand all this stuff. And then essentially there's the victims, children and stuff. They do that shit to children for fun and shit. Usually it'll be their own victims. Okay, so that kind of sick ass shit. Essentially, what angel power represents is the pure psychoness that will come from an Apple corporation and from scientists about doing that shit. Okay? There's that pure psychoness. And then there's going to be people at YouTube and shit, that stuff that they were snapping it off every single second, that shit. That's the kind of shit that they don't like. That's the kind of stuff that builds potentials for lawsuits too, and the fucking law departments fucking hate it. This is an example of where these children have to deal with this stuff, where they're hackers in their high school and shit, and this is the stuff that causes this long-term psychological breakdowns of people. It's called tech gaslighting, and that these people are too stupid to realize that just because you guys sit in the dark web lurking or whatever, there's a whole concerted effort, and that the more the politicians start to get a comprehension into this stuff, because nowadays that type of shit is happening to them also. And so then they start to get a real good idea on what these children that seem to be psychologically breaking down in ways, and that has a lot to do with doing this stuff. And then, if they're outfitted with speakers, then the stupid ass fucking tech psycho likes to reach out and mock their efforts and shit like that. And that's the shit. And then nobody talks about the fucking speakers. But that's an added aspect to it. And that those sick fucks, they like to do that shit to everybody's victims. They like to do it to anybody and everybody. They like to do it for fun. It's what they do for fun. A lot of times they'll be at work, doing it at work with like a hack on their own work computer. And that instead of working, they'll be busy doing this type of shit. They'll be busy fucking with scientists and shit. That's my ass. See, there's like an internal AI out there. And so if scruffy scientists and other people, if they're getting people that problem on their work computer or something, it'll be somebody inside of the ecosystem. It will be. So I noticed. That Fleur is out there now. And do they have a bunch of younger looking guys like me? In some sort of management kind of positions and shit? Start there.